Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Michael Zuber, author of One Rental at a Time, and we are back with Greg Dickerson. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Michael. It's good to be here with you.
Hey, do me a favor. Tell people where they can follow you on YouTube. I watched one of your videos, which is the idea for this conversation. So give your YouTube channel a plug, please.
Yeah, gregdickerson.com is my website. So you can go there and check out my YouTube channel. But if you just Google Greg Dickerson on YouTube, you'll see it come up. Well, there is a sportscaster out there, Greg Dickerson. So a lot of his stuff comes up, but I'm right there. It's me and him.
Yeah, there you go. And folks, again, Greg is just like me. It's raw. It's, he's driving in his car, doing whatever. He's getting spooked by ambulances. And this morning's video is kind of funny. It's just real life. So, Greg, I love what you do, man.
Yeah, I almost got T-boned by an ambulance. I was going through and there's this intersection and out of nowhere, this ambulance appears. I had the green light, but it scared the dickens out of me.
There you go. Well, hey, that video this morning was about basically a market update. So I thought what you and I could do is talk about the real estate market. We'll treat it as a nation, and then maybe we'll step back and you'll talk about the East Coast where you're familiar. I'll talk about the West Coast. So I thought we should just do that. So as you look at the real estate market, as we sit here late May, what are you seeing?
So it's, it just keeps getting hotter and more competitive in a lot of areas. What's really interesting is it's not just housing. It's also rental housing that, I'm hearing stories now where people can't find apartments for rent. There's waiting lists. They can't find houses for rent. So people that are moving to a lot of areas where there's huge population growth, obviously now real estate's hyper local. Every area is different, but we're talking about, the Nashville, Tennessee's, the Atlanta, Georgia's, the areas of Florida where there's a lot of influx. People are having trouble finding rentals. Charlotte, North Carolina, around those areas. And, of course, housing is going through the roof. The real key is we can't keep up with demand because from a new construction standpoint, because the builders can't get enough help, can't get enough trades. The supply chains are still choked up and costs are going through the roof. So builders are actually backing off production because of the construction risk, the risk of costs escalating for two reasons. One, they want to capture the upside. They want to make sure that, as costs go up, they want to capture that extra profit. Think about it. If you're a builder or remodeling contractor working for other people, you're in a great space because you get your fee based on a percentage of the cost. So cost plus 20%. So with stuff at all-time highs, you're making money. But if you're building on spec and selling, the market can switch and it can change on you. And it takes 6 months to a year to deliver a house, depending on what you're doing and what size house. Sure. So you don't want to be spending, all-time highs right now. And then all of a sudden the market turns 6 months later and you can't sell it and you can't recoup your investment. So the builders are very cognizant of that. They're watching the markets. They're watching the interest rates. They're watching what their buyers are doing. And then that's the other thing is that you don't want to get a buyer on your house and then the price escalates and then the buyer can't qualify and then the market turns and you've got no buyers at the end. So it's a very tricky time right now in the housing market, but it's still red hot. There's still lack of supply in most areas, and the housing crash that all the big YouTubers were talking about just doesn't seem to be showing up because the moratoriums are lifted. The forbearance programs are ending. And I tell you what, if you put 2 million houses on the market right now, they'd be gone pretty quick.
Oh yeah, there's no question. Yeah, I think the real estate market, nationally speaking, is an inventory discussion, right? If you're one of my students or following the channel, right, set your criteria and watch it. We are seeing little movements because I think what we're going to see this summer is some sellers list. We're going to have those move up buyers finally come back. Again, I think the inventory, the inventory that's livable and in a decent condition will still sell. But I think inventory.
That's the interesting thing because, to sell, you got to have somewhere to go, right?
Yeah.
I've had, several of my friends and all right. I've had several of my friends and people around me that have, sold recently because, literally 3 weeks ago we were talking. I'm like, yeah, man, it's crazy. And they're like, with prices like they are, we might go ahead and sell, put that money in the bank and then, go get a new house. And, people are doing it just to cash in. So it's really interesting. You got, people jumping in for whatever reason. I guess interest rates are the main drive. I would like to know what's the main driving factor behind paying, these prices right now. But I guess it's interest rates. And then, the people that have been in for a while, for 4 or 5 years, are all starting to sell. So I think we're going to see a few more, houses hit the market here soon.
Yeah. Just this morning, one of my students posted in the private group, 22 new homes listed today in his little search criteria. I guess it was a he. I think it was a he. His search criteria. And again, his search criteria produced 68 listings. So 22 of 68. So, that's a 30% jump. Now that's just one data point out of many, but again, I think the trend is coming. But to your point, what I'm calling for is we're at about 1 million, actually about 1.1 million homes available for sale today. I'm calling for 2 million homes by the end of July, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a lot, but in reality, a normal market is 3.3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, 3-4 million houses,
yeah.
3 to 4 million a year sell. And if you got to remember, in a good, healthy market, across the country, the average days on market was usually 6 months, 180 days.
Mhm.
That is a normal market. And then it went down to 120, and then it went down to 60 and 90. Now it's like 2 days. And,
Yeah.
sellers are really funny. I have a lot of friends and clients that are realtors, and they get chewed out if their house doesn't get 100 showings and contracts within a week.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So yeah, I think in general, what we're seeing as we exit this year is going to still be an inventory problem. I do see inventory up through the end of the year, but as long as interest rates don't go from, call it 3% 30-year to 6%, I do not see a housing crash. I see a gradual slowdown. I do think it's we have inventory problems in different areas that will become hyper focused, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think what will happen, I do not see a national housing crash for the next several years. We may have some markets where enough people leave, and maybe there's also a lot of kind of development going on now that was just built at the wrong time. So inventory spikes. But again, a lot of that south where people are moving to, and there's just not enough housing to for all the people
Yeah.
coming.
And it's hyper local. Even in
Yeah.
08, 09, when the national housing market was down, there were still pockets that were doing okay. Of course, around DC,
Mhm.
areas like that. Some places, were hit harder than others. Where I was in a resort community, all second homes. You couldn't give those things away.
Yeah.
Nobody was spending money on them. Nobody were, people were leaving them. They were gutting them, taking the furniture and appliances and just leaving empty houses.
Wow.
It was
Shells.
really interesting times. Oh, it was wild. And, a good couple of businesses were born out of that, going and buying, turnkey packages from people for pennies on the dollar, and then reselling used furniture and stuff. But anyways, um, so there could be a crash, and it could happen very quickly. So what's happened, and when you get into a hyperinflationary period like we're in, we're in we have a liquidity crisis. There is too much money out there, and interest rates are too low. And when the Fed, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment, when they are forced to act because they have no other choice, and they are going to be forced to do that, markets are going to tank, interest rates are going to shoot up. That is going to kill real estate overnight, and it will be a faucet, just like it was in 08. 08 was a banking crisis. This is a liquidity crisis. And when that liquidity faucet is shut off, everything else shuts off with it, and it immediately cranks, and they've got nowhere to go. They're not going to be able to stop it.
Let's play with that a little bit. We're going to get into the Fed talk in the next episode, but I just want to play it out, right? So, it's May, let's say October. I'm just picking stuff at random here. The 30-year mortgage is no longer 3%, it's 6.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? Well, first and foremost, what happens is a lot of would-be buyers don't qualify, right? So again, you peel off, I don't know, 50% of the demand because they just don't qualify. No bank is going to give them the yes answer unless we pull back these crazy exotic loans, which I hope we don't do, right? Because that kind of happened last time. Let's just pretend that they have the money, but let's just assume that doesn't happen because we tried that before. So again, 50% of the buyers can't qualify. So demand goes away. So that means days on market and listings start to stack up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually at some point we go from 1 million to 2 million to 3 million to 4 to 5 million. And pretty soon it's a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And you start seeing price cuts. Again.
Now, when you say they can't qualify, you're just talking about at the current price point.
Yes, exactly. I'm just trying to play it out because prices will
they
not
can qualify, but if it was a $500,000 at 3%,
yeah,
and it goes to 6, now you're talking about a $250,000, $300,000 house.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, yeah. And I'm just saying prices are sticky on the way down, right? Interest rates can move a lot faster than prices. My history with right prices in real estate are inelastic. I mean, they're very sticky, but once they break, they do come down pretty quickly. It's just a delayed reaction in my experience. So, again, if interest rates spike October 1st to 6, right, inventory stacks up in October, November, December, and then, you're 90 days on market and people start going, God damn it, why hasn't my house sell? And then you start seeing adjustments. So there will be some delay, but yeah, there will be, that will create inventory overnight because
that's where your backlog starts. And that's what I mean by it just shuts off like a faucet. So what happens is transactions stop.
Yes.
For sale signs. So here's, and it's really interesting because it works just like this. Okay. all of a sudden you'll notice for sale signs everywhere where
Yeah,
you didn't see them before. They
exactly.
just start, you know what I
Popping up.
mean? Because right
Yeah,
now, as soon as you plant one, it's gone,
gone.
you know? So you will see for sale signs popping up. So just, you know,
Exactly.
watch the rates. As the rates go up, for sale signs go up.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
then prices come down. And again, I always say it's not what they say, it's what they do. Okay. So listen to what people say, but watch what they do. Builders. You can listen to what they're saying, but watch what they're doing. They're holding off on new projects.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, because they're afraid of interest rates going up because they know what that'll do to the price of the house. And
Yeah.
with construction costs where they are, they got no choice. You know, they can't back it down. Whereas right now they're just sitting on lots, so they don't have a whole lot of risk out there.
Yeah.
And as housing, inventory goes up, prices will come down for new construction, and it's a whole cycle where it gets cheaper to build than it is to buy. That's normally what drives new construction, is that it's cheaper usually. Replacement cost is lower than acquisition cost. That's normally what drives construction demand. Right now, there just aren't any houses available. So that's what's driving new construction demand. Usually it's a price point thing. In most cases, historically, you can normally buy a new house cheaper than you can buy a resale a lot of times.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is I do not see, first off, let's be clear. I'm not calling for a 3% or a 6% 30-year mortgage in October. That was just an example. But I do think we have seen the bottom in rates, and I think rates go up for the next several years. And it will be a slow bleed, or whatever you want to call it, kind of it tick up. But yeah, that is going to cause less demand, which will cause inventory to stack up, for sale signs to kind of multiply. And, you know, we could be in a buyer's market, I don't know, a year and a half from now, right? Because I think it takes time to get there, but it's going to happen, I think.
Well, 5 is the magic number. And that's what it was 0405, when we were rolling like crazy and houses were going up 20, 30% each time. And literally I was buying and building today, and it would sell for 20, 30% tomorrow. I could buy a house today, I could put it right back on the market. It would sell for 20 to 30% more.
Yeah.
That was 0405. Rates were sub 5%, the low fours, never got into threes. They were low fours. As soon as they got back up to 5, so right now you'll see a little hiccup once we get into the fours, because that's what happened in 2018, 2019. And if you go back and look, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you check rates to, transactions and housing market activity, you'll see that there was a little slump. End of 2018 going into 2019, rates were, getting back up into that 4% range, so that will, slow things down. But you get to 5, that's your death cut right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think what happens is this is all about transaction volumes, all about new buyers being able to qualify. And again, if new buyers can't qualify, even if they have a desire to own, markets, that's the tipping point. I think you're right. It is 5% on the 30-year. So folks, pay attention to episode number 3. It's going to be talking about the Fed and what they are doing to get the party going. And now they got to take the alcohol away. So it's going to be interesting to think about. Thanks, Greg.